Hello everyone. I hope it will be a little bit of entertainment for you this morning, because I will talk about lettering of popular music from a semiotic perspective. My research material are album covers and bands logos. There should be uh, uh, bands, and my time span is from 60s to 90s. That looks quite a lot, but only through a few decades I could see some tendencies changing. If I focus only on one, it wouldn't be visible. And as sources, I use, of course, lists of best-selling albums, but I also went through the book 1000 Record Covers because there are albums which are maybe not the most popular, but it gives a wider perspective on design art. Yes. So while doing the research, I found this article. Does the typeface on album cover influence expectations and perception of music? And the starting point for the authors was that apparently very, very well researched phenomena of some tendency towards curved shapes by people. And the fact that these curved shapes are more associated with, with like these adjectives, while the angular one supposed to be more associated with this one. And this is very simplistic, but I thought it may be a useful, differentiation for my research. And as you can see, they made the test in very laboratory conditions. So they chose the clearly angular and clearly curved shapes, and the album covers looked like that. So this is not, do you see, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. This is not how we interact normally with lettering, but as I said, it might be useful. And while going through my material, I realized and I proposed that there are two main processes involved in choosing the style of letters and also perceiving and denote this lettering. One is based on this phenomenon I just said. So it's inherent preferences, curved versus angular. And the other one is based on how the shapes of letters themselves have some semantic values. And this may be due to distortion of the letters. So the letters distort in a wavy way has some association with water. They can be purely culturally developed, like historical typefaces. We associate them with particular period and so on, mimicking certain technology. And in case of music, there is also this part of experience of altered state of consciousness, right? Because of clear cultural background. So let's start from the 60s. And already from the first moment, you can see the intensity of the letters and the colors. And if we go a bit closer, so there's clearly a lot of this curved, softy lettering. But, here it's not only about the appealing of curved shapes, but it's here this part of psychedelic experience in question. And I think it's actually even more important than this, natural tendency. But anyway, it's very present. However, I found one example of like angular with these spikes, which emphasize the frills, because like as you see on the other slide, the angular is supposed to be connected with something exciting, and apparently it works. So there are this country music which is the wood type lettering, which have this semantic link with Wild West. The distortion for explosion, and like the Beatles, this is kind of a special example, and I took it aside because it does not really fit. It's just the flowers for, flower children of 60s. In 70s, there is already clear difference. And I swear I did not choose it, by purpose to make this contrast. I realized once I put them together that there is such a big difference. What is actually, it was surprising for me because normally you don't have very clear, caps in cultural phenomenon. Anyway, if we look closer, so there is one new thing I noticed, mimicking certain technology become quite, quite popular. So we have neons, the handwriting, engravings, and this effect of
Collages.
Yes, collages. And there is lots of historical typefaces as well. But surprising thing, the wood type is used not only for country music, but that's the album of groove, what was kind of surprising. As you can see, there's no really anymore this very, carved, distorted letters in, this softy way. And the custom typefaces I found are more, dynamic, kind of sharp. And one example of distortion was this AC/DC album, which gives this electric, vibe. In 80s, there are similar tendencies. If we look closer, we will see lots of, mimicking of tools, of handwriting, neons, engraving, and here this is the letters which supposed to be on the low quality screen, right? This is from this one. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I noticed one new thing. So 80s is the era of metal music, as far as I'm aware. And the historical, like, black letter started to be used on the album covers of hard rock and metal. But I found an example of psychedelic album with this. So it stayed, basically the style was kept. Then, there was this one thing of Prince album which does not fit to anything. And it became like a lettering and illustration on the same moment. And you have very, interesting things going on, like personification, because there are hands and hair, legs, and, teeth and smile. So this was like a special example, and it actually, for me, looks a bit like the project of this Polish poster tradition. Yeah, it does not fit anywhere. In 90s, I noticed that there is lots of photography and type, lettering is kind of secondary in a sense to give away to the photography. It's more, it's smaller, but we still see similar like strategies, let's say. So there is lots of mimicking certain tools, handwriting, engravings. There are also distortions here, here, here. And the new thing is the gangster rap, which use the black letter, because it even though the music genre is totally different, it has some links with, being tough, being strong. And in a moment, I will talk a little bit more about the black letter itself and how it's explored by in the music design, like design for the and there's new technology. I mean, not new technology, but I noticed that it started to be like used quite a lot. The type machine letters. So there is this observation regarding wood type. So I expected to see it only on country albums, but as I said, it appeared on group music albums. And that was clear. This is an album from 1965. So already there, like they used this very clear link, yes, with country music meets rhythm blues. So there are some conclusions about the albums. So there are 3 styles which are characteristic for a particular genre. However, they were not used as widely as I anticipated. So there was these other strategies, but they clearly do not, switch between each other. Like you will not see the wood type or gangsta rap, and or the black letter for. I mean, maybe there are some examples, but in this, or if there was 15 for each decade, so that's quite a lot. Another one are that there are strategies which are basically present in all the genre, as you can see. This technology mimicking, distortions, and 3D effects. And you can clearly see that 60s stands out due to these like shapes and colors. And then later on, it's more, let's say, stable. But in this decade, it's pretty intense. And so in regard of hard rock and metal, I noticed that the potential of typography is used mostly in the logo. And like the title of the albums are usually put in, more neutral typefaces. And the logo is, the main like typographic tool, let's say. So then I thought, okay, I should then make this another group of material, which are the logos. And I choose 27 logos based on popularity on the bands. Was made up of the popularity of the band based on the number of albums sold and also visual recognition. Maybe this is not a very scientific approach, but even though I'm not an expert, I could recognize all these logos, and I think you will be able to. So this is the selection. And let's see now how this, two approaches to processes of curved versus angular and the semantic, the shapes of letters works here with logos. First observation was that most of the logos are purely typographic. There were only 5 which has the full version, and only Guns N' Roses was really using this one mostly. And the other, maybe Public Enemy, but like Motorhead, almost only this typographic one. So that was the first observation. And now, okay, let's see the this curved versus angular thing. So among these 27, 11 had clearly angular shape, like some sharpness. So that's 41%. And with this one, even though it has, S is curvy, it does not have this angularity. However, it mimicked the tool, right? The knife, something sharp. So I thought, okay, it should go to the angular group. Heft was used only by 3 bands, and that was like kind of surprising. And there are lots of logos which are neither obviously angular nor curved, 48%. And let's go to the semantic values of the letter forms. And 44% of logos like use this potential, right, of the shape of the letters. And let's see how it works. So the first one I found like very simple. In a sense, I didn't really find, maybe I'm not aware of any further meaning. So the letters basically mimic the waving flag. But when we go further, it gets more interesting. So in the case of these three bands, we have clear cultural link with the historical typeface, the black letter. And since it was used in Middle Ages, it has this link with something with darkness, mystery, and violence. However, because of some historical thing, it is also linked with the Third Reich because the black letter continued to be used in German-speaking countries till 20th century, even though it was it disappeared from rest of Europe, and somehow it became letters of the German spirit. So then it was used by more conservative people. Then when we go with time, by far right, and that's how we ended up. Okay, and the bands themselves, they don't have any, connection with neo-fascists. They only use this part of, toughness, strength, only these links. Ironically, the Gothische Schrift was officially banned by Hitler in 1941, and he personally didn't like this script. He thought it's unreadable, it's totally useless if we want to expand our country, to other part of Europe, and the people there will not be able to read anything. But these links, with the black letter, so the German language was apparently very, very strong. And that's the quote of the Motorhead frontman. They said that the trema, the umlaut, is used only to look mean. It doesn't supposed to be pronounced Motorhead. This is not what they wanted. And the same with the Motley Crue. Exactly, it's not Motley Crue. It's only to I don't know to express these things. In Kiss, it's another thing. Basically, the band has nothing to do again with this ideology, but they use this symbol to, create some controversy. And actually, it is banned in Germany. They have to use another logo. So it works, apparently. This one is also interesting. At first, I thought this is historical link, but it's not. This font was designed in 1920 something. And it mimics handwriting on textured paper. It has, in fact, nothing to do with ancient Egypt, but it is named papyrus font. So that's how the link was created. So it's purely cultural. It has nothing to do with, historical typefaces. Oh, and another interesting quote of the frontman. That's it's changing. Yeah, okay, I will not read. And that happened like a few months ago. So I had this logo for like 20 years. And now they have something what is clearly angular, by the way. Another cultural association of Asia. And again, the logo is iconic representation, right? It looks like a pyramid, and it's supposed to be a symbol of something mysterious because ancient Egyptian, yes, with something mysterious. And that's a logo of Sex Pistols, and they use this ransom note effect, which is partly technological because it's unordered. So it kind of mimic unordered typesetting. But we know it is potentially violent because we, saw so many movies with the kidnappers and so on, and the letters were used, to. That's an interesting one, and as I said before, it has the sharpness and angularity effect only because it's in fact an index of a tool, right? We don't see the knife, but we know it was made with a knife, in a bloody effect. Like I think you know the movie, so you know what happened next to the person who's in front of them. So I checked because the conference is about engagement. So I checked how engaged are the bands with the logo, and that's the number of bands who use the logo on the album covers. Oops. And if we compare it, it looks like that. So it's actually like most of them use it a lot. However, the unexpected part was that for top bands don't use logo at all on the album covers. Like the Beatles, it was on the drum, on this big, drum, always there. So some conclusion. First, most of logo are purely typographic, so letters are very important to express some semantic values. They are particularly popular among rock bands. There were very few curved shapes, and there are more neutral than angular logos. And yes, that's it. Thank you.